Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Fantastic Pension in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I refuse to pay for birthday presents for my son that he can only use at my ex-wife's place. I am a 52-year-old man recently separated from my ex-wife of 18 years. We share custody, week on, week off, of our two children, a 13-year-old daughter and a soon-to-be 15-year-old son. The relationship ended mostly amicably. As far as I know, no one cheated, we just drifted apart and were friend-zoned. When we split, we agreed that I would stay in our old 4-bedroom family home for a few more years while our kids were still in high school. We live right next door to my son's high school. I would continue to pay down our mortgage and pay for any additional renovations we still had left to complete since buying the place 4 years ago, all on my own. When the time comes to sell, she will get her 50%. She agreed to move into her own 3-bedroom rental by the beach. I pay her child support as she only earns about 1/3 of what I do in her part-time job. The rest of her income comes from government social support. We also have a joint bank account where we both contribute money to cover the kids' general needs. This week is my son's birthday. He's big into gaming, basketball, and fishing. When he moves between our two places, he brings his Xbox with him. I have paid for 2 computer monitors, one at each property, so he can do this easily. He has a homemade basketball hoop mounted on the outside of my house for him to practice whenever he stays with me. He helped me build and paint it when he was a 10-year-old lad. My ex emailed me to ask what I thought we should get him for his birthday, meaning what we should share the cost for. She listed 2 things, a freestanding basketball hoop and a gaming chair, totaling around $1,000, both to be used exclusively at her place for his enjoyment there. I refuse to help her buy these particular items. I'd prefer we spend our money on something he'll enjoy regardless of where he is, like new clothes, a new device, a bike, fishing gear, or a shared family experience with both of us present. I thought that was reasonable. My ex-wife thinks I'm being a jerk for taking this stance and not agreeing to help pay for these presents to furnish his bedroom at her house. She's suggesting that it's not fair that he can play basketball at my place but not hers, or that he feels more comfortable playing video games at my place. She is now accusing me of playing a petty tit-for-tat game with her and not fairly contributing enough towards my son's happiness on his birthday. My fear is that I am being unnecessarily picky with this battle, being too selfish and denying her the ability to make her home as happy and comfortable as mine for our son to live in. In the comment section, user Kami-sang said NTA. First of all, he's 15. You don't need to give we presents. Secondly, it's convenient that she wants you to pay for something he already has at your house to be installed at her home, in addition to a second gift for her space. One of the things I have learned is that kids will not remember or care who paid for what. They will, however, remember which parent they had experiences with and which parent made their home a comforting place for them. Don't invest in your ex's space unless you think it will truly benefit your son more than an experience you could share with him or an item he could have at your home. As long as you are paying child support fairly, it is also her responsibility to provide. You have no duty to make everything equal. That being said, buy your son something you think he will truly enjoy. Under this comment, another user named Latin Canadian said the following. I totally disagree. My parents separated when I was very young. My dad always had money, but my mom was always broke. My dad would not give me a gift that could be used at my mom's house. So better clothes, a VCR, a bike, all of it could only be used when I was with him. I firmly believed he was doing this, so I would think he was the best. In reality, I was always mad about it. This next post was made in the True Off My Chest subreddit by a user named Familiar Anxiety. The post is titled, "My girlfriend cheated on me with my sister. I am writing this while shaking and with tears in my eyes. My girlfriend of 3 years, who I thought was the love of my life, is cheating on me with my sister. I always had my suspicions that my sister likes girls, but I was never sure. However, if we were going out and she knew my girlfriend would be there, she'd change her whole outfit and put on more makeup, but I didn't really think much of it. My girlfriend, however, always told me that she was straight and didn't see anyone else but me. She always told me that I'm the love of her life, and I really thought this girl was my soulmate. Yesterday, I was at my girlfriend's house and her mother called her, so she left me alone in her room for a bit. She had left her laptop open and I saw an Instagram page. She got a notification from my sister, so I got a little curious. When I checked the message, I almost threw up. It was a very dirty message, so I started shaking and continued reading the chat. And there they were, the love of my life and my sister, sending each other porn clips about what they wanted to do to each other. They also had explicit pictures and videos of each other, and I saw humiliating and heartbreaking jokes about me. When my girlfriend came back to the room, I left the messages tab between her and my sister open to let her know that I knew what she did. She went crazy and started yelling at me, calling me a creep for reading her messages. I get that it's wrong to read her messages, but this was my sister. I really can't believe that either of them did this to me. I was always so close with my sister, and my relationship with my girlfriend was perfect. I am devastated and I don't know what to do. I don't want to lose either of them, but this is too heartbreaking and I can never forgive them. I am so lost. Edit, my sister has been trying to call me and has sent me messages like, "This is all a big misunderstanding." I literally saw a video of her going down on my now ex-girlfriend. I don't have it in me to confront her. I really don't know what to say, so I will just block her and never speak to her again. 2 days later, OP posted an update. So after she sent hundreds of messages and so many calls, I blocked my sister. She has been trying to contact me, but after what she did, she is dead to me. No one understands the amount of pain she put me through. She didn't sound sorry when she was making disgusting jokes about me while sleeping with my girlfriend. Yesterday, she came to my place and she was hysterical. She was crying, knocking on my door, and begging me to talk to her. I mean, she was literally on her knees, crying and begging. She admitted that what she did was wrong, obviously, and said she would cut my ex-girlfriend off and never speak to her again. To be honest, she did look sorry and seemed to regret what she did. She said she didn't want to lose me as a brother. I told her to go home and leave me alone for at least a week, and then I'll talk to her when I've made up my mind. I was convinced that my ex was the love of my life. I was so in love with her and my heart is broken, but what crushed me is that it was my sister. I couldn't and still can't believe that she would do that to me. My sister and I come from a very abusive family, both physically and mentally. We are the only siblings and we always went to each other's rooms when things got rough in the house, my dad beating my mother and breaking things, which made us very close. I still can't get over how she could do this to me. I don't think I will ever be over it. She doesn't want to lose me, and deep down I am terrified of losing my sister, but what she did broke me in ways I can never explain. To everyone asking, no, I didn't take screenshots or anything of what I saw on my ex-girlfriend's computer. I was so shocked and panicking so hard that I couldn't think of taking proof of what I saw, but I don't think I need to. My sister knows she can't turn things on me, we don't talk much to our dad, my ex-girlfriend is out of the picture forever, and we don't really have many mutual friends because I don't have a lot of friends. I need to say that I really appreciate the support on the last post. As I said, I don't really have a lot of friends, none that I can talk to about this. The closest people to me were my sister and my ex, and now I am going through this all alone, so everything you guys said really means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Edit, I don't know guys, I have been drinking a lot and I am scared. Are you sure I should cut my sister off forever? I can forgive her, I know I will never forget, but she really does regret what she has done. I guess I'm not thinking straight right now. You realize how big the bond is between a brother and sister who went through an abusive household and were always there for each other, right? Is cutting her off forever really the only option I have? I know I sound desperate, but I'm alone and I'm scared. After about one more day, we got another post from OP. I failed. My third attempt was like 2 hours ago, and somehow I am still alive. I just want everything to stop. In the comments, user Mr. Slab Bulkhead said, that sister is a true monster. My god. She knew everything her brother did for her over her entire life and figured might as well just destroy him forever. The girlfriend is total garbage as well, but the sister is on another level. To me, the saddest part of this is that there is no one for the original poster to turn to now that he trusts. There are no friends, no family, just no one. He is all alone, shattered into pieces. It's just sickening, man. Another user named JJJ68 said, "Don't give into it. Death is not the answer. You deserve better, and there is better out there. You will find the girl of your dreams when you least expect it. One who would never cheat on you, let alone with your sister. Your sister betrayed you, and you'll make new friends who will replace your awful family." This is the tough part. Just don't give up now. One day you'll look back on this and play that song, just skip to the good part, and you'll be so happy you made it through the pain. I hope to see an update. User Mission Appearance said, "The number of people in this world who will willingly ruin a life like this is disgusting. It sucks even more to see that OP's sister came back crying only when she got caught. I hope this turns out better for you, OP. I hope you find a better life away from your ex and sister." This post was made in the Coworker Stories subreddit by a user named AJ. The post is titled, "Coworker appears to be using my traumatic emergency to undermine me at work. I've officially had it, and I'm commencing a campaign of relatively benign psychological warfare against one of my coworkers. I'll call him Dan. Dan started at the company in November 2023 and seemed cool at first, but I have slowly grown to find him very annoying. There are too many examples to get into, but I would describe him as an entitled, impertinent sourpuss with a nicotine addiction and a self-professed problem with following the rules. Why would you brag about this at work? He is my same age and role. For the record, I also arguably have a nicotine addiction, but I don't make it obvious in my place of work. So a few days ago, I regrettably had a horrifying emergency on my way into work. The whole ordeal unfolded very quickly while I was unmuted on a work call with my whole team. I don't want to go into the details of the emergency, but it involved me getting caught up in an altercation that had nothing to do with me and resulted in me having a very public panic attack that my entire work team also heard over the phone. I am diagnosed with panic disorder. Edit. I am not supposed to discuss the details of this situation as it is an open case with the local law enforcement. On my way to work, I was arrested and held in jail for 36 hours. I had a panic attack while being arrested and then 5 more while I was in jail because I was denied access to my prescribed medications. You can pass your judgment on whether I deserved it, but you don't fucking know me. My other coworkers, my family, my friends, and the larger local community, not the cops, have been extremely supportive. Think what you want, but fuck the police, and I will probably never be able to trust them again. I was indisposed. Edit, in jail for a couple of days after the emergency. Once I was able to return, my work computer was still in my office building, which I ultimately never reached, so I couldn't do any actual work beyond sending emails/messages from my phone. Almost all of my coworkers, who I've worked with for about 7 years now at this company, were incredibly supportive, sent me kind messages, and were generally concerned for my well-being, having directly heard me go through this ordeal in real time. And I still feel mortified, so their support really means the world. A few coworkers even contacted every single person I had scheduled meetings with to let them know I had an emergency. They seamlessly picked up my critical work tasks and offered to drop off my computer at home for me. I mean, these people rock, and that's why I've been at the company for 7 years. Dan, however, appears to have seized upon this opportunity, my traumatic emergency, to highlight my shortcomings. In the immediate aftermath of the emergency, when my coworkers were exchanging messages of support and concern about me, Dan sent no such messages, and he didn't ask how he could help. Instead, he inserted an absolutely useless recommendation into the team group chat about how I could have avoided this emergency in the first place. He immediately tried to turn my trauma into a learning moment, as if it was so obvious that this would have happened to me because of the choices I made leading up to it. Very, she was asking for it in that dress, if you ask me. Gross. Then I am finally recuperated enough. Edit. Out of jail to look at my phone a couple of days after the emergency. I get a message from a PM that I work with asking me about the status of a report I had put Dan in charge of. The PM tells me that they spoke with Dan yesterday and that Dan said the report was in my court. But interestingly enough, Dan conveniently failed to mention to the PM during that conversation that I had suffered a major emergency, that Dan had witnessed just the day before, that I was presently indisposed, and that I would likely need some time to recover. Not to mention, Dan had never communicated to me prior to the emergency that the report was ready for me to review. He kept saying he had one more task to complete, so fuck him. Despite the chaos and trauma of that terrible event, I feel a renewed sense of gratitude for my life, my freedom, and the everyday privilege of being alive and surrounded by a supportive community. I feel even more protective of it now. Things can change in an instant in ways that you couldn't possibly imagine. I truly do not have any more time for bullshit. For this reason, I feel absolutely justified in canceling Dan from my life. I'm not going to try to get him fired or anything like that, but I refuse to spend my days in close proximity to him at the office. We currently sit right next to each other in a 2-desk office space, but there are other desks in an adjacent office space that I can use, so I plan to move my desk away from his. He can say goodbye to any and all opportunities to support me on my projects. I no longer trust him to be a reliable and respectful team player. Most importantly, if he decides to confront me, which he might because he's alarmingly confrontational, I will calmly explain to him that I find his professionalism and working style to be unaligned with what I'm looking for on my projects and in my career. He'll have to find someone else to work with. After 2 months, OP created an update. I felt like posting an update. All my charges, 4 misdemeanors for resisting arrest, were dismissed because the police arrested me unlawfully. I am also moving forward with civil litigation against the police department. I thought about just dropping it and moving on with my life. But then I saw the police body cam footage, and it is disturbing to say the least. Worse than I even remembered. It brought my partner and father to tears. My mother was simply hysterical and couldn't even get through the first few minutes. She said watching her child be held down and beaten while I was crying and screaming for help was entirely too much for her to bear. I'm shaking again, even recounting it now. Dan still works at my company, but we don't work together on anything anymore. I heard he got put on a PIP, but no one has really confirmed that with me, which is probably for the best as I'm staying completely out of his business. I'm doing great at work. I've always felt good about my job and performance because, as I mentioned in the original post, I love my coworkers and my work really matters to me. I also stopped drinking and smoking and am currently 10 days sober, which has been amazing for my productivity and mental health. I'm still addicted to nicotine, but that's the next thing to go, taking it one step at a time. Thanks to all the kind internet strangers for your support. Apparently, my story will soon be released to the media, but hopefully you don't hear about it because the video is still mortifying for me, even though I clearly did nothing wrong, other than panic, which isn't really wrong given the circumstances. Plus, my identity will be exposed and I'll have to make a new Reddit account. I hope Dan doesn't have Reddit and find this, but at this point, he knows what I think about him. A user named Lyndon Lil Blueballs said there is a reason that people in the US are considered innocent until proven guilty. Things like this happen way too often. Body cams should be mandatory and the officers wearing them shouldn't be able to control when they turn on or off. Another user named Straight409 said, I can't lie, I think Dan should have been terminated, but from what I understand, a PIP, as they're typically structured, is the first step in that process, so there's that. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.